Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Taking Care of Business. Today, I've got a special guest. His name is Cameron Hutchinson. Welcome, Cam.
Thank you.
Cameron heads up our recruitment team within the business, and I think currently at the moment, you've got to be the busiest, not just the busiest direct, but I think the busiest individual within the company. Is that right?
There or thereabouts.
Well, I think you are going to be in the next 2 or 3 weeks. We're on today to talk about all things recruitment, and especially our recruitment event, what's going to be taking place in a couple of weeks' time. It actually goes from, I think, the 15th to the 19th, Camp.
Yes. Yep.
And we're heading to London, Birmingham, and the north of Manchester.
Yes.
Tell us all about it.
Okay, so we need more people. We want more people. I think with the way the market is in Dubai and the growth that the business has seen so far, it's necessary for us to hire more. Rather than just go down the traditional route of video interviews, we feel like it's important to get in front of people face to face and see them in their home territory. These events are designed for people to come along that have zero knowledge of Dubai or 100% knowledge of Dubai. Whatever stage you're at, you're welcome to come and basically spend 4 hours with me and Joe Lennon, who I'm taking with me, to learn all things Dubai, all things real estate, all things Allsop, and see whether or not a career is right for them.
And what is it you look for someone in the candidate, Cameron?
I mean,
let's say, do they necessarily have to have experience in real estate, or
no? And you only have to look at some of our most successful people within the business. They don't necessarily have estate agency experience, but this industry is about likability. Okay, you don't buy from somebody that you don't like, and that's the same in any kind of sales industry. So that first impression that somebody has, whether or not they're dressed well and presented well, whether or not they're smiling, whether or not they're polite, all of those things are what count as a first impression for us. But beyond that, it's somebody who's hardworking, it's somebody that's tenacious. Ultimately, it's somebody that's willing to take risks to move to a new country to do a job that they may have never done before and not earn a basic salary.
I think for you and the guys, I think it's yourself and Joe Lennon who are going to be going over to the UK. I think for you and the guys, it's also so important that you see, you say, how people are presented. You see how they adapt. You see how they adapt to a situation. Like you say, I think it's a 4-hour event. So there's so many different things that you're going to be going over the course of the 4 hours. So you can see from, and again, I think it's a little bit more difficult over a Zoom call and how they present, how they speak and everything else. I think from the recruitment events that we've had some superb individuals come over.
Amazing. But I think for me, the benefit isn't just candidate side for them to come and meet us, it's for us to be able to meet them. And the event isn't just 4 hours of me and Joe Lennon talking at them. The event is quite interactive. So you may have groups of candidates together speaking. We're monitoring and we're reviewing candidates from the moment they walk through the door to the moment that they leave. In normal terms, if you were interviewing somebody, you've got 45 minutes there or thereabouts on a Zoom call. All joking aside, you don't know what they're wearing below the camera. You don't know whether or not they're late. You don't know whether or not they're talkative people.
Is that important for you?
What?
First appearance?
It has to be, right? In sales, generally, it has to be.
See, I think for me, it's one of the most important things. I think, especially in the environment that we're in, where it's so competitive with not just brokers internally within the company, externally it's so competitive. And I think if you've got the edge on someone, whether that be, and again, it's not the be all and end all how you dress and everything else, but I think if you've got the edge over someone, if you see someone who looks smart and is well presented, and not just by material things, but how they look and how they groom, I think that's really important.
But we spoke about this earlier on. A lot of properties are listed with multiple agencies, right? So if you've got 2 identical agents charging 2 identical fees, and one person presents themselves better, generally speaking, if that's something you look for, you're going to veer towards that. And if somebody presents themselves well, not all the time, but it generally means that they might be able to present your property better, because if they're already aware of how they look and how they present themselves, when they're showing your property, it's likely that they're going to have half an idea of what looks good and what doesn't. Right?
Yeah, fair point. Shift on a little bit. With regards to, and again, I don't want to go into too much depth about this, but all the negativity that's going on in the world at the moment, do you think that Dubai, or you think more people will come to Dubai with what is going on in the world? Do you think that's going to have an impact in the amount of people, not just on this recruitment drive, but just in general over the next 18 to 24 months? Do you think it's going to have an impact with the amount of people that come to Dubai, not just in terms of coming to Dubai to do a real estate job, but just in general?
No, the migration towards Dubai is significantly on the up, and there was an article recently which suggested that Dubai was the most popular place for people to relocate to outside or from the UK. Why? Obviously the obvious things, the money that you can earn, the fact that you don't pay tax, the weather, the safety, the education, etc. But when you talk about the negativity, and we talk about maybe rising interest rates or rising fuel prices or whatever, I think because we are luckier than most in this part of the world, yes, you will find that people will migrate here because it's a good place to live. And whilst we might be affected in our own way here in Dubai, it's unlikely that we will be affected in the same way as if you were going to stay in the UK or Europe or wherever you're going to.
And I think post-COVID as well, the way the government and Sheikh Mohammed has, with the initiative that they brought in, I think the whole world sat up and took notice.
Yeah.
Dubai was never really shut. Well, while the world was, obviously we had a 3 or 4 week lockdown, but it was never really shut, and the doors were always open.
Yeah.
And I think what they've done, and again from our industry, the way the market has gone now, I think that's the things that they brought in only had a positive effect right across the board. And I think people seeing that, and look at our company at the moment, the drive that we're going through, we've seen the benefits of that quite significantly as well, I think.
Well, the whole reason, well, not the whole reason, but you look at the fact that we've opened a new office and we're pioneering this new way of working in terms of having a place not necessarily just to do your 9 to 5 job, but to come and have your haircut, to come and have a coffee, to come and play on the PlayStation. Some people will look at it and go, well, I'm at work, it's 9 to 5, I just need a desk. We want to realise the post-COVID nation and actually make sure that people feel happy, settled, encourage them to work above and beyond, always because we want to be making more business and more money and be more successful, but we're not here just because we're looking for a 9 to 5. And I think that's what I would say about anybody listening to this that's probably thinking about coming along to the recruitment events. Do not come to the event if you're thinking it would be a nice little 9 to 5 job in the sun, because it won't be.
I think the types of people as well, Cameron, the types of people that have come from, whether it be the UK or Europe or wherever it may be, the types of people have been different. I think we were talking off camera before, and we just employed a teacher.
Yeah.
So
well, he starts in September, but yeah, we've offered him, yeah.
And it's not just your standard estate agents or your standard, sales, car sales environment. It's right across the board. Like I say, we get, obviously when you come to me and you show me the candidates that we have, it's right across the board.
He's a classic example, though, of an individual that moved to Dubai 3 years ago to be a teacher, qualified at university, and great profession. My wife is a teacher, but is somebody that honestly said when he came for the interview, I've been watching your company grow over the last 3 years. I've been taking a salary, which is great, he's been happy with it, but he's thinking to himself, hang on a minute, if I work in real estate, which clearly is a booming industry and has been for many years now, there might be an opportunity for me to completely change my life and my wealth prospects. And that's an example of somebody that's gone to university and trained to do a specific profession. That's not, somebody that for example, me, I'd never went to university and got a degree. It was always a estate agency, but we've probably seen in the past car sales, estate agency. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we are seeing more, even skilled workers, deciding actually I'd quite like a career in real estate.
I think you've got to look at our top performers. I don't want to harp on about top performers all the time, but I think the guys who are, let's say, in our top 5 performers of the year, one was a plumber.
Yep.
One was, I'm trying to think what, a couple were in estate agency.
Painter and decorator.
You had a painter and decorator, yeah. So you had these guys who were coming in from no sales background whatsoever. And why? I always think to me, why did they do so well? And what is their reason for being that, having that drive and determination, because they've never had no sales background? Why do you think the guys who were speaking about, why do you think they have got to the point of where they are now?
I think we always talk about the buzzword, which is personality. You'll hear Lewis say it, personality over paper, every day of the week. And all of those top 5, and perhaps forgetting just the top 5, the top 10, top 20, top half of the company, it's all about personality. There's not many people, and I can't even think of one, to be honest with you, that's got a chip on their shoulder or thinks they're better than anybody else. And so whilst personality is really important, you've also got to realise that we're all here, we're all this little expat community, we all help each other out. And you could go up to any one of our top 5, you wouldn't necessarily know they were the top 5 if you were outside of the company. They're completely normal individuals, happy-go-lucky, friendly, unless there's a deal going wrong. But most of the time, you know, from a personality perspective, they're just normal people.
I think what's important as well, we were speaking again before we went on camera about the characteristics of someone who does excel. And there's so many different variables within this job. Obviously, the initial 3 to 6, even to 12 months are the hardest part about this job. And I'd like to think that we do this. Any new candidate that comes in through our doors, they are fully aware of what they can expect. Yes. It's not going to be a get rich quick. It's definitely not going to be a get rich quick. It's going to be a process. And again, there's so many different variables. We were speaking again before about, for me, discipline is the most important part. Yeah. Guys who are coming in, again, the law of Dubai at the moment is, it's as good as I've ever seen it. Listen, from a young, not from my point, I'm 40 now, but from a young 22, I suppose so, from a young 22, 23 years old person coming over, all the bars, all the clubs, all the restaurants, and all the things that go with it, the law of Dubai is absolutely fantastic.
No, it's attractive.
But that can also be detriment to what you're trying to do. And I think the guys who do excel, they do have that discipline. And for me, and I still to this day, Cameron, I still have any new starter that comes to the door, I'll have 20, 30 minutes with them. And I'll go through probably the same thing as what I've done for the last 10 years since I've been in this role. And again, why are they here? What are the motives? Yeah. Most important part for me is when we ask these questions about motives and goals and things like that, 9 times out of 10, unfortunately, they will say, I want a car. I want a watch.
They're mostly material.
Yeah, I want a house. I want this, that, and the other. For me, I want to know what someone's going to do today. I want people to understand what the formula is to get to, or the source is to get to them points.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, listen, that could be us not letting these guys know. But for me, the formula to get to that sort of level is the discipline. Again, not going out of, going out on a Tuesday night when all their friends are going out,
But you mentioned it before about what maybe makes these top 5 the top 5. Yes, it's discipline. Yes, it's personality, but it's also time. And you touched on it earlier on about it not being a get-rich-quick scheme. Yeah. Absolutely, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. And I think sometimes real estate is painted in this glitzy, type of lifestyle. Don't get me wrong.
But you can be.
It can be. It can be fun. But there are always 2 sides to every story. And I think what we do and have done very well for many years is paint both sides of that picture and say, look, if you're coming, we will give you the platform, we will give you the leads, the training, the data, the environment to be successful, but it takes 2 to tango. So if you're coming, make sure that you are disciplined, but most importantly, give yourself time. And most people, a lot of people that aren't necessarily successful and that paint the industry in a bad name are people that when the going gets tough, they give up, and you can't give up. It takes time. And these top 5 that we keep talking about, but even top 10, top 15, top 20, they've been with the business for a considerable amount of time, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years plus. Now, could you realise the same amount of earning in the UK if you were with a company for 10 years as you can do if you realise it here? Absolutely not. But I think sometimes people look at the short game rather than hang on a minute, in 10 years I could be retired.
I'd like to think that we're good at this. When people do come through the doors, we give them an understanding of, listen, this is not going to be a 3-month thing. No. This could be a 2-year thing or a 3-year thing. But the time frame, like I've been here for 14 years now, which I always mention.
And I bet you said when you first came in, I'll come here for a year, 2 max.
It's always the way. It's always the way, Cam. Like, obviously, my wife at the time, she was not settled, and she missed home and all these other things. And again, this is one thing that I always mention to the new starters coming in. You're gonna miss home. You're gonna cry. You're gonna have times where you think, listen, I've been told different from what from Cameron or from Joe Lennon or whatever it may be. But I would like to think that we've installed all of these things to people who come in to understand, listen, this is not this is going to be difficult. This is going to be a very, very difficult thing. But the reward is significant if you are. And again, I go back to discipline. And what I'll always say, I'll always make sure they have again, go back to goals. If you don't have goals in life, and it's the same as when you come in every day. I still have my goals every single day of what I need to do, and I will not go home unless it's an old school thing, unless I've ticked the things off. People, the millennials now, they all have different ways of doing things.
Big question though, Mark, do you use a paper diary or an electronic one?
Unfortunately, a paper diary. Sorry, Lewis and Carl, but I still use a paper diary. But it works for me.
And that's the thing.
It works for me. So I won't change that. Again, obviously, I won't give that to the new starters coming in, but I won't change that. One question that you get asked more than anything, what would it be?
I would say it generally centres around the social aspect or the laws within Dubai. More often than not, there will be a question on an interview, in fact every interview, about if I hold hands with my girlfriend or we kiss in the street, am I going to be put in jail?
Yeah.
Obviously, you are in a completely different part of the world and there are rules, regulations, guidelines, etc. to follow, but it's not quite as strict as everybody makes.
I still get off my grandparents. So you can't hold hands or you can't kiss. Well, I don't kiss in public anyway.
But as long as you present yourself in a nice, respectable manner, as we would expect you to do probably in the UK, then you will be fine. But generally speaking, it centres the questions that people are most, not most concerned about, but will ask, I think, just to put anything to rest from grandparents, parents, or whatever, is, am I going to be okay as a male, female, holding hands with a male, female in the UAE?
I think it's important that people do ask the questions as well.
For sure. It shows that they're conscientious, right?
Obviously, with the media and everything else, the media will paint this place to be some type of, I don't know, but the way some of the media back at home portrays this place, it's so far from the truth.
But do you think it's the lack of
education
and people being scared?
I think it's
different.
I think it's ignorance as well.
Yeah, of course.
When a newspaper, I won't say which newspaper, they put articles in the news and it sells.
It's bait, isn't it? Clickbait at the end of it.
Absolutely. Going back to our recruitment drive. Now, this could cause, it's not controversial, but I want to get your take on things. We've just opened our new office in Motor City.
Yep.
It's a 13,000 square foot office, which is, you touched on it before, we have a barber's, we have a nail salon, we have a tuck shop, we have a barista, what else do we have?
PlayStation,
DJ, we have all the things.
Great people.
Yeah, we have a DJ every month, some like it, some don't. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I do.
When we are recruiting new people from overseas or from Dubai, do you get asked the question about, well, hold on a minute, you're recruiting, you need X amount of people to come through the doors. Is there enough in the pie to go round for everyone?
100%.
What's your take on that?
I think it's that fear, perhaps from established brokers that already work here. Not necessarily the very long established brokers, because they probably understand and have seen so many recruitment cycles now that they understand, but maybe that mid-range of people that work with us will say, well, hang on a minute, why are you hiring more people? I do that area. The biggest thing to bear in mind is if you've got more people in your area, you've got more people to interact with and cross-sell with. So in my opinion, and I know it's the opinion of the people within the business in senior most positions, is that more people within the Allsop and Allsop community is only going to benefit the people that are already there. Let's face it, if we've got 2 or 3 people joining a Marina or a Palm team, that's 2 or 3 in addition to the people that we already have.
So
however, you've probably got 50, 100, 500 brokers from other companies working in that area too. So it's marginal.
Who are working on the same properties as well.
Yeah, well, we touched on it earlier on about how properties are listed with multiple agencies. So actually having people within the community and that sense of family, you are more likely to look out for somebody that works for the same company than not, right?
I think it's one thing that we're very, very good at. And again, I don't like to speak of anyone that leaves. When people leave and go to other companies, and one thing that they do say about our company is the cross-sell of other areas, or the camaraderie of the team, or the opportunity with members of your own team is far significant from wherever they've gone to. You know, I don't know. Well, not a case study, but we've got some guys. Well, the majority of our guys who, I won't mention names, who when we do add a new addition to the team, there's always a moan, there's always a groan. But what I've found is, them people are earning far more money than what they've ever earned. Just because.
What? Because somebody else has joined the team, you mean?
Because there's more opportunity, kind of.
Sure, yeah.
You know, because there's more opportunity. Like I say, if there's 2 or 3 people in your team, or even one person in the team, I think it's a lot more difficult to, don't get me wrong, it could be your baby and you could grow that team to a 2, 3, 4-man team. But even if you've, let's say, one of our highest volume of areas, which is Dubai Marina, the majority, or let's say probably 80-90% of that group have done more in terms of commission than they've ever done in any years before.
But isn't that testament to the business that we work in? When you think about how different we are now from when we first launched in 2008, if we just did the same, we would be the same. We'd have one small office in Dubai.
Coming from start to finish.
But it's good. It's good to be change worthy, because otherwise people, get in their comfort zone.
You have to, like you say, it's from you. It's from the initial conversations with new starters. It's from the second and third interviews. It's from the training process that we have. It's from our branch managers. It's from the experts the agents who have been with us for up to 10 years.
Well, they are let's face it, they are experts. When you consider that, the Dubai real estate market is still relatively infantile in comparison to other parts of the world. If somebody's been doing the job very successfully for 10 years with one brokerage, you cannot argue that they are not an expert.
And I want to touch on that as well. It's not just UK estate agents that we hire, is it?
No way. No. And this is probably another question that is most commonly asked on interview. It is surrounding what types of people do you hire? Now, when you think about Allsop and Allsop, yes, we're a British firm. We are owned by Brits, yes. But we hire so many different nationalities that have different skills, different language skills. And so if you're listening to this and thinking, oh, well, I'm from another part of the world which is not the UK, would I be considered? 100%. If you've got the right personality, the right tenacity, the right drive, we'll take you from Canada, Sweden, India. It doesn't matter where you are, it's always about personality.
Have you ever got it wrong with a hire? Positive or negative?
Of course.
Yeah.
Listen, any recruiter that says they've not got it wrong, they're lying.
I have.
It's not an exact science.
No, of course. I remember when we, and I won't mention the name, but he knows who he is, and we hired someone, and this guy he worked in a bar, and I remember he came to Vision Tower, and he was sitting there, he was slumped, he had a bandage around his arm, he had a bandage around his leg, and I remember saying, what's this guy doing here?
Who is this?
And now he is without doubt one of our best agents that we've ever had. Not just that we have now, but that we've ever had. And it's just down to going back to what we said before about that drive and determination and that will to win. This guy just does, like I say, he doesn't know when to take no for an answer.
Stop.
No.
So that basically throws my notion of first impressions out the window, because if he had a bandage on his arm and a bandage around his leg, your first impression wasn't very good.
I'd like to think that we're 9 times out of 10 we're right. I'd like to think that. I would like to think that. So the recruitment event, Cam, I know we've mentioned it at the start, but I want to finish on this. First of all, what do they need to do? What do any prospective candidate need to do to get in touch with you or your team to get more information on the event? What can they expect? And just a little overview of what can you expect? Yeah.
We've made it really easy this year. You can go to our social media channels and you can click the link and simply register for which day you want to go to. We're going to be in London 15th and 16th of August, Birmingham on the 17th, and in Manchester on the 18th.
Do we have the locations yet?
Yes, all the locations are there, and you can register for the events. Now, they're going to be starting at 6 p.m. We've got a daytime session on the Friday to try and make sure that we're covering all aspects. But ultimately, people can come along with a completely open mind. Whether you've heard good things about Dubai, bad things about Dubai, come along and see what it's all about. Ultimately, we will paint an overall picture of what it's like. We will tell you what you can expect from a career with us. We'll give you some case studies about some of the people that work for us. But more than anything, it's about having that tangible human interaction with a recruiter. If you're thinking about moving 3,500 miles around the world, if you're in the UK, you want to know you're doing it with a reputable company, reputable people. Having that opportunity to sit and talk with myself and Joe Lennon for 4 hours at a time at an event will give you that opportunity and hopefully reassurance.
Keep mentioning opportunity. What I will say and what I'll end on, it's a massive opportunity. Don't underestimate the hard work that goes into it. Don't underestimate what you will go through, the ups and downs. But what I will say to anyone listening and anyone who is looking to attend any of the events, come along. And I promise you, if you're prepared for hard work for the next 2, 3, 4 years, there is a massive opportunity for you to change your life, which a lot of us within the company have.
100%. And anybody that is successful within our business and within real estate generally will have that same notion. You just have to give it time.
Cam, thanks very much.
Thank you.
I know you're unhappy because you haven't been asked to be on the podcast for 18 months.
Maybe it was something I said last time.
You were calling Lewis and Carl for everything off camera. So hopefully we can get you on sooner rather than later. But listen, thank you very much for everyone to tuning in. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to contact myself or Cameron, or leave your comments on the comment section below. Thanks very much and see you soon.